Finding and destroying invasive species has become part of our daily lives. In New York City, people are literally stomping on every spotted lanternfly they see on the sidewalk. Lake associations here in the North Country are paying people to rip out Eurasian water milfoil or kill it with herbicide. In Saranac Lake, a company has funding to come to your house and kill Japanese knotweed. We tag along to learn how they do it on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from the St. Lawrence County Community Development Program, now accepting applications for the Head Start program to prepare children ages 3 to 5 for school. Online at slccdp.org/head-start.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Tuesday, September 24th. First up, New York State has approved a company's plan to build a large-scale solar development in Canton. St. Lawrence Valley reporter Catherine Wheeler has more.
The French company EDF Renewables has been approved to build a 240-megawatt commercial solar facility just outside of the village of Canton. The plans include a 20-megawatt battery energy storage site. The Rich Road project would take up about 1,700 acres and spread out along both sides of Route 11 southwest of the village. It would be the single largest solar development in St. Lawrence County so far. The proposal has been met with controversy among locals. Some residents have raised concerns about safety and environmental and visual impacts. The project also has supporters who say the development will help in the fight to stop climate change and bring in revenue for the community. State officials say Rich Road will help New York reach its renewable energy goals. The state wants to produce 70% of its power from renewable sources by 2030, a goal that it's behind on, according to a state report. Catherine Wheeler, North Country Public Radio.
Governor Kathy Hochul has been campaigning this summer and fall to enact a cell phone ban in schools across the state. Last Friday, Hochul attended a teachers' conference hosted by their union in Albany. She said her push to ban smartphones in schools is designed with teachers in mind.
The teachers are the most affected because they're being denied the chance to have distraction-free classrooms. They're in competition with these devices when they're trying their best to give our kids the greatest education possible.
At that same teachers' conference, state education leaders discussed how to build more safeguards between students and technology. A recent poll of New York State United Teachers, or NYSUT, found that 80% of its members agree phones and social media are having a negative effect on students. Mary Banaszak is president-elect of the New York School Counselors Association. She says childhood should be a time of exploration, but students have shifted to an unsupervised online community.
A fourth grade student shared she was being stalked by a classmate on a video game. She blocked that person. Instead, that student made a new ID and joined the game again. He had no concept of the boundaries of saying, stop. He said, it's just a game, when the counselor questioned him.
Banaszak says policymakers need to remedy the onslaught of student mental health challenges, extremism, and safety breaches caused by unchecked digital platforms. On a related issue, a bill called the Kids Online Safety Act is currently being debated in Congress. Last Friday in Albany, educators, families, and advocates were lobbying for that federal policy. And one of the advocates was a parent from St. Lawrence County. Noelle Evans with the New York Public News Network reports.
Mary Rohde is a parent from Canton, New York. She says her son died by suicide after being targeted by a sextortion scheme on social media. She says he was threatened to send thousands of dollars or an explicit photo of him would be shared with everyone he knew.
He got braces on that day. We didn't go to school. I dropped him off at his dad's house at 10:30 with some ibuprofen and a milkshake. And at 2:30, he was in a body bag, because someone separated him from everything he knew to be true and right.
Rohde wants tech companies to be held accountable for the impact their online platforms have on children's well-being. She and others are calling on Congress to pass the Kids Online Safety Act that passed the Senate in July. A House committee advanced GOP legislation this week that critics say is weaker than the Senate version. In Rochester, I'm Noelle Evans with the New York Public News Network.
A New York State Supreme Court judge is allowing environmental groups to intervene in a legal battle over crypto mining in the Finger Lakes. As Rebecca Rettelmeyer reports for the New York Public News Network, the groups hope to shut down a Bitcoin mining facility there.
Cryptocurrency company Greenwich Generation owns a power plant on Seneca Lake. It burns fossil fuels to power machines that mine Bitcoin. The State Department of Environmental Conservation has refused to renew the company's operating permit over concerns about its climate warming emissions. Greenwich Generation could be forced to shut down the plant in a matter of weeks. The company is now suing the state to continue to operate. It asked the court last month to require the DEC to overturn its decision. On Tuesday, the judge overseeing the case granted 3 environmental groups permission to intervene. Those are Seneca Lake Guardian, the Committee to Preserve the Finger Lakes, and Sierra Club. The decision allows the groups to file briefs, participate in court appearances, and appeal decisions. Each has long advocated to shutter the facility. Greenwich Generation's permit expired on September 9th, but in court, the state agreed to allow it to continue to operate the power plant until November 1st. In Ithaca, I'm Rebecca Rettelmeyer for the New York Public News Network.
The Adirondacks are wild and remote, but they're not immune to invasive species. Plants and animals from around the world have infested lakes and killed off trees. They've also encroached into people's backyards. A program in Saranac Lake is offering free treatments on residences that have invasive species on their property. Emily Russell tagged along on one of those treatments and has our story.
It's a warm, sunny day when I meet Justin Wolford in a parking lot. Wolford is on a mission.
Today we are at the Saranac Lake Civic Center, and we're about to do injection treatments on Japanese knotweed.
Wolford is wearing long pants, a long shirt. He's got on a bright orange vest and orange gloves. And strapped to his hip is a little injector gun.
This is a CO2-powered injector. So it just takes CO2 to push the herbicide into the plant. And that will, in about 5 to 7 days, inhibit its growth, and it'll start dying off slowly.
He bends down and gets his injector right up close to the stem of the knotweed.
You push the needle in, and then you just inject it in. And that's it.
Wolford works for Adirondack Research, a firm based in Saranac Lake. They're taking over the Japanese knotweed effort from the Adirondack Park Invasive Plant Program, which treated the invasive species at 200 sites with a 40% success rate. That program is now focusing its efforts on the most severe invasive species that threaten the broader park. While Japanese knotweed may not be as threatening as something like the emerald ash borer, folks at Adirondack Research say local control of the species is possible. So if you think you might have Japanese knotweed on your land, Wolford says look for some key characteristics.
The bamboo stem here is a dead giveaway, bamboo-like stem. Also, this is called a heart-shaped leaf, so it'll be a little bit pointy at the ends, but the big dead giveaway are these white flowers that point straight upwards on the top of the plants.
It's kind of a nice-looking plant. Those little white flowers stretch up towards the sky. But Wolford says don't be fooled. This particular patch has crowded out the native milkweed, which is a critical plant for monarch butterflies. And Japanese knotweed can spread like wildfire.
It takes over people's lawns. It reduces their usable yard space and outcompetes other native plants that support pollinators.
Japanese knotweed was first introduced in the U.S. in the late 1800s. The invasive plant has been reported in almost every state, including Alaska. It's also been reported all around the Adirondack Park. Just cutting the plant back won't kill it. It might even help it spread. So Wolford works his way methodically through this patch.
You kind of have to approach it in a way that you can do it without forgetting which ones you've already done.
He starts on the left and moves his way to the right, injecting the herbicide in each stem as he goes.
And just work my way in strips down, so I'm always facing the same direction, always looking at the stalk in the same way. And that'll allow me to make sure I get all of them without missing any.
Adirondack Research is focusing its treatments of Japanese knotweed in 2 particular regions of the Adirondack Park. One is the Saranac Lake and Lake Placid area, and the other is around Inlet and Old Forge. Private property owners in those areas who have Japanese knotweed on their land can reach out to Adirondack Research for a free treatment. The effort is paid for by donations from the Rotary Foundation. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio, Saranac Lake.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Christopher Watts of Canton and Michael Hart and Ramon Vasquez of Malone. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.